Are you thinking of starting an Airbnb in the Philippines, or maybe you already have one but you want to improve your results? This video will be the most comprehensive and useful video you will see, and if you incorporate even just a few of these tips, it will help increase your occupancy rate and your profits. Back in 2017, I bought two properties near Lona Beach on the island of Bohol. One is a 2-bedroom, the other one is a 1-bedroom. I basically fully renovated them with the intention of running them on Airbnb, and since we started, our occupancy has been around 60 to 85%. There's several things that you need to do when you have an Airbnb. Is number one, you need to think like the consumer. If you were staying in a place, what would you like to see? How would you like to use the place? So in this video, I'm going to take you through everything that I've done to make this place successful so that you can incorporate it into your Airbnb. Also, I'm going to talk to you about how to choose the right property, how to figure out your numbers, see if they work, if they stack up to make it a viable proposition. Stay with us. We're going to cover everything you need to know. The first thing you need to consider if you are looking at purchasing a property to run on Airbnb is the location. If your place is not near something interesting or a touristy spot, it's going to be very hard to fill it. However, if you are in a less interesting place, you could try and create an experience, a unique experience, so that you could attract people to your property. For instance, you might live on a farm, you might offer free breakfast with produce from the garden and maybe some cooking classes. However, if you do live near a place which is touristy, make sure you highlight it on your listing and maybe team up with local tour guides that you could offer to arrange on behalf of your customers. If they have a great experience at your place, you're going to get a 5-star review. The second thing you might want to consider, if you have space on your land, you might want to build a small studio or guest accommodation. If it is on your land, it is much easier to manage yourself and saves costs. Consider your market and who you want to attract to your property. Is it couples or families or backpackers? And keep that in mind when you're designing the space. For me personally, I think it's much better to have less people with a premium product at a higher price. The more people means more damage. This has to be the most important point, and it could make and break your decision to run an Airbnb. Something you need to consider before you even purchase the property is, do the numbers work? It's a little bit complicated. We're going to try and explain. This property here, you could buy it today for 6.5 million pesos. It's 2-bedroom, 90 square meters on a 190 square meter lot, but does it work for an Airbnb? So you need to look at, number one, what do you think your projected occupancy rate is? I know our average occupancy rate here is 77%, which is 24 days a month. Our nightly rate is 3,950 pesos. That's for 4 people. If it's an additional 1 or 2 people, it's an extra 500 or 1,000 pesos. But let's take the lower end. So 3,950 times 24 days is an average of about 94,800 pesos per month. That's the gross revenue. I know that our bills work out to about 35% of our gross revenue. So if we take 65% of that 94,800, or it's a bit technical, isn't it? That's 61,620 pesos. That's our net revenue per month. Times it by 12, that's 739,440 pesos. When you take that as a percentage of the 6.5 million pesos, which you could buy this property today for, that's 11.37%. Now that's a good rental return. I know from when I had rental properties in Australia and New Zealand, if I got 5%, I was lucky. Let's talk about designing your spaces for 5-star reviews, but also more importantly, keeping your guests feeling comfortable and welcome in those spaces. Number one, please do not use alienating colors on your walls like reds and blues and greens. Keep it neutral, earthy, organic tones of wood, blacks, whites, and just earthy, natural tones. Make sure you do not have any photos of you and your family or anything on the walls that might make people feel like they're not at home, like maybe an old calendar of Pamela Anderson with the boobs out. Keep everything neutral. Think about if you were in that space, how would you like to feel? Invest in good quality linen and towels. It may cost you a little bit more at the start, but it will save you so much in the long run and give your customers a much better experience. Make sure you keep them neutral. Again, stay with white. If they get stained, you can bleach them. If you have colorful bedding and they get stained, you can't bleach them. Thoughtful touches can really make a big difference in a guest experience. If you think about when you stayed at a hotel or an Airbnb last time, think about the things that frustrated you. For me, it was not having PowerPoints near my bedside so I could charge my devices. And also, as an international traveler, having an international plug next to my bedside table with 2 USB ports is really a nice touch, and it didn't cost much to buy this socket, maybe 100 pesos more. Having a bedside lamp next to your bedside is also seems really obvious, but it is a nice touch. really frustrates me when I stay somewhere and turn off the bedside lamp. I have to get out of bed and do it over there. Having somewhere to put your bag is also a nice touch. This is actually a TV cabinet, but it is also serve as somewhere to put your bag. I think also having a mirror is really important, especially for female guests that want to check themselves out before they go out on the town. And wardrobe space. If you want to attract people that are going to stay in your place longer, make sure you give them a decent wardrobe space so they can organize their stuff and feel comfortable like they're at home. With more and more people having the ability to work from home or on the go these days, I think it's really important, if you want to attract them to your property, is to supply a small desk with power nearby. The other thing they're going to need, in fact everyone needs these days, is a good Wi-Fi signal. So make sure you have a good connection. A good idea is to also run a net speed test on your own place. Take a picture of that test so you can prove what kind of speeds you can offer. If you cannot offer good Wi-Fi, I think it's really important that you let people know in advance, because if they want to work from home and they come to your property and they can't get a line out, they're going to give you a very bad review. If your property includes a kitchen area, I think it's really important to offer the essentials, but remember, you're not a grocery store. We offer things like a kettle, plates, cutlery, wine glasses, coffee cups, a French press so that people can make coffee, chopping boards and knives, everything that they need, but without offering things like sauces, rice, salt and pepper, which we used to do, and that was just a pain in the ass, having to remember to top them up, people making a mess. So I think offer the basics, but don't go overboard. Let's talk about setting up your listing. And the first thing you need to consider is having absolutely killer photos. And if you're not the best photographer, do what we did. We paid 5,000 pesos for someone to come in and take pictures of 2 units, including aerial shots. And I think if your place is near something which is attractive, like a beach, make sure you do get drone shots. Now, when you get the photos done, make sure you present the place in the way that it will be presented when someone walks through the door. Don't show stuff that's not included. Make sure you have natural light and it is staged in a tasteful way, but not in a way that people are going to come in and go, this is not what I ordered. When you're taking your photos and uploading them to your listing, remember, more is better. Take photos of everything. Remember, someone's probably sitting on a computer 7,000 miles away wanting to book your house, but they want to know, how big are the bedrooms? How far away are they from each other? How big's your kitchen? Do you have a bathroom? What's the access like? Take as many photos as you can and upload them and highlight all the great things about your place. When you're writing your description for your listing, I think it's super important to set realistic expectations and sometimes under-promise and over-deliver. For example, if you don't have hot water and you know you don't have hot water, let people know in the listing so they don't expect it. If your Wi-Fi signal is crap, make sure you let them know in advance. For example, we highlight that we have a beach 150 meters from us, and we know that it's very shallow and it's not great for swimming. We point it out in the listing and we tell people in advance, but we try and highlight it and say, it's a beautiful place to have a coffee in the morning and watch the sunrise. So who's going to run the show? Is it going to be you, or are you going to hire a team? I started this in 2017 while I was living in Australia and obviously couldn't do it myself, but you might choose to. You're going to need a manager and you're going to need cleaners. Not just one, you'll need a backup as well. We pay our manager 10% of the gross revenue. She handles all the inquiries, she handles the repairs, and she organizes the cleaners. The cleaners, we pay 400 pesos per clean. That's the same for the 1 bedroom and the 2 bedroom. Probably should be different, but anyway, we're a bit generous. We've had the same cleaner since 2017. She also gets a 2,000 peso a month retainer, and that's just to pay for things like when she has to come and drop off extra towels for guests and things like that. Let's talk about nailing the guest experience, and it starts with a smooth check-in. If your guests are potentially arriving late or you cannot meet them, to offer a self-check-in option. So we use a lockbox and the keys are available 24/7. When someone books manager Sherry, she sends them a message. It's a standard message with everything they need to know about how to get here, including a Google pin, as well as a guide which they can download through Google Drive. Now, it's important to know that Airbnb does not allow you to send links to files. So if you can put a link to a Google Drive, they can go to that, download the manual, and let's see what we have in this manual. So in our manual, we include everything that we could possibly think of to make sure that they have a smooth experience getting to our property, and when they're there, making sure that they have a good stay. So how to get there, how to get the tickets if they're coming from the seaport. We give them very, very clear instructions as to how to get there, including photos, as you can see, how to get to the beach as well from our house. the Wi-Fi details here. If they scan that, that'll automatically get them connected to the Wi-Fi. All the little questions that you think they're probably going to ask you if you don't give the information. So if you give it up front, it saves you a lot of time as well. We also talk about the house rules. We ask them to conserve energy, so turning off the air conditioning units when they go out, that'll save you some money. How they can arrange tours if they want to do island hopping. We also talk about where to dine out, some of our favourite restaurants, and local knowledge, who to call an emergency, a little bit about money and laundry, not money laundering, but money and laundry, but everything you could possibly think of to make sure they have a good stay. Quick and clear communication is key. People are very impatient these days, so respond within 1 to 2 hours if you can. Obviously, if you're asleep, respond as soon as you wake up the next day. You can use canned messages, so you can pre-write things which you would commonly say, like people always ask, what is the Wi-Fi password, despite it being in the first message and the manual. So you can use canned messages, and when someone checks in, send a message within 1 to 2 hours afterwards, just to see how things are going. If they have any issues, it's better that they raise it early, as opposed to living with it and then giving you a shitty review. The not so pretty bits, starting with dirty laundry. Now, it's important that you rotate your linen. We have 3 sets for each bed in the properties, and we make sure that we label them and rotate them. Well, we hope our staff do. With your towels and your linen, again, keep them white so that you can bleach them if they have any stains. We spend about 6,000 to 8,000 pesos per month for laundry, and that's for up to about 15 to 20 stays per month. You could do it in-house, but we just find the cost is worth it. We've learned that shit happens and stuff occasionally breaks, so it's a good idea to put 5% of your total revenue into a separate account for a maintenance fund. Now, Airbnb does have a certain insurance, so if something major happens and you can't follow up your guests to get the money back, they do have this insurance policy. But when I first started, I had a condo, and I had some guests who decided they were going to dye their hair. We had brand new furniture in there, white table and white chairs, and there was stain all over it. Fortunately, Airbnb came to the party, and they did give some compensation, but frustrating things like that will happen. So have 5% aside, and also have a maintenance person that you can trust that is on call, because you can guarantee stuff will happen. Let's talk about what we supply to our guests during a stay, starting with toilet paper. Now, consider the length of the person's stay and make sure you give them enough rolls to last the distance. Secondly, we supply body wash, shampoo and hand soap. In the kitchen, we supply a little sponge and more soap. And if someone is staying with us for more than 4 nights, we will do a clean in between. So arrange that with the guests and make sure you factor in that cleaning cost. That's to change towels, linen, and do a general clean. Reviews and how to become a Superhost. Now, I know becoming a Superhost sounds a bit trivial and a bit wanky, but it's actually really important when someone's looking to book a property and they can see that you're a Superhost. It gives them the confidence to know that you know your shit and they're probably going to have a good stay. So how do you do it? Well, it's tested over 3 months, and there's some criteria you have to meet. You have to average 4.8 out of 5 for your ratings. You have to respond to 90% of inquiries or messages. You cannot have any cancellations over the period of time unless it's something like an emergency, like a typhoon or your house burns down. You can't just cancel someone because you want to stay there. And you have to have 10 completed stays during that period. Having great reviews on your profile can either make or break your Airbnb business. As soon as someone checks out, I send them a thank you message, thanking them for staying with us. And then I check with our cleaners to see if there was any issues before I do their review. Now, you've got 14 days to complete their review, and you won't see what they've written until you have written yours. Address any concerns they might have privately if you can, but when they set a review, it's actually going to show on your profile, which you have the opportunity to respond to. I think if anyone has any false accusations or if you think they're unfair, it's okay to defend yourself, but just remember, do it politely, respectfully, and don't get emotional because it's just business. Let's talk about, oh my God, how frustrating it is that I've said the words let's talk about and super important far too many times in this video. Apologies, I promise not to do it again. Let's talk about pricing. I mean, let's cover the topic of pricing. How do you price your property? So I think it's important that, not super important, but just important that you check other people's properties which are similar. So have similar features like 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, bathrooms, the space, whether it's attached or not attached, and then price it accordingly. So we have a 2 bedroom, it's 3,950 pesos per night, that's for 4 people. We only allow a maximum of 6, we used to allow 8, but we just found we had too much damage. So for the extra 2 people, it's 500 pesos per person. That helps us cover the cost of doing the laundry for the linen and towels and that kind of thing, and we add an extra sofa bed or bedding for a sofa bed. The one bedroom is 2,950 pesos, that's for 3 people. They can add an additional 1 person for another 500 pesos. You can offer discounts for extended stays, so for 1 week we offer 5%, for a whole month we offer 15% off. We don't charge extra for a cleaning fee. I just find it really frustrating when I go to book an Airbnb, I see the price, I go to check out and then find I'm stung with 1,000 or 1,500 pesos cleaning fee. So it's all inclusive, and I think that's a good way to go. Airbnb have a built-in feature which is called smart pricing. It's basically designed to find the right price, but sometimes it does go a bit low. So I would recommend setting your own price. Look at the busy times of the year. If there's fiestas or certain events or holidays on, you can manually adjust the prices to suit. But I would recommend not putting smart pricing on, because you could be surprised that you've let someone into your house for 500 pesos when your nightly rate is 4,000. At the end of the day, running an Airbnb is a business, so I think it's really helpful to know your metrics. And the 2 things which I really follow is what is my net per month and what is my net per night. And the way that I figure it out is I take my gross earnings for the month, say it's 100,000, and then I document all my expenses. So that's management fees, cleaning, laundry, cleaning supplies, electricity, all that sort of thing. I then figure out what that is, the total, say it's 35,000, so 100,000 income, 35,000 expenses, 35% is my expenses. Then I know what my monthly income is coming in, and roughly, if I don't have any sort of surprise expenses, what I'm going to receive for the month. Then I take the number of days that I'm booked for the month, so our average occupancy is 77%, and then which would be 24 days, and I divide that by my net. And I know with my 2-bedroom, I charge 3,950 per night. My average income per night after all expenses is about 2,708. It's just really handy metrics to know. Recently I've been asked by a lot of people, how did I get my money across from Australia to the Philippines to buy property? Well, I used a company called Wise, and while they are a company that provides an international travel card, they also do overseas transfers. So as long as you're transferring less than 500,000 pesos per time, you don't have any issues. They were very good to deal with, and the rates were so much better than other companies that I've looked at. So if you would like to do an international transfer, I'll put a link in the description below. You'll get a free transfer, and I think I get some kind of kickback. This is not a paid promotion, this is just honest advice. This is probably the best company to use if you are transferring large sums of money to the Philippines. You might be thinking, well, Matt, if your Airbnb properties are so good, why did you mention a couple of times that you're selling them? Well, the reason is we have a big property here in Corellia. We started our YouTube channel showcasing our build of our off-grid eco dream home here, and we've decided that we need more money to develop the land here. We want to put a couple of units so we can share the property with other people and have them come stay with us. So the 2-bedroom unit that you've seen in the video in the first half, we're selling it for 6.5 million pesos. It's on about 190 square meters, and it is a very big, generous 2-bedroom house. And the 1-bedroom, which is right next door, 4.5 million pesos. I'll put the link in the description below for the Airbnb properties if you want to come and stay there, but also if you want to buy them, you can contact our agent Sherry, who is amazing. She sold us the properties and she's been managing them since 2017, and if you do need an Airbnb manager in Bohol, she charges 10% and she looks after everything. She's amazing. I'll put her details in the description below. Running an Airbnb property can be very lucrative and rewarding, but at the same time it can be very frustrating, especially if you don't give really careful consideration and thought to how you're going to meet or exceed the expectations of your guests. Now, the rental returns here in the Philippines, I think, are amazing. Completely outnumbers what I was getting in Australia. Despite the property prices significantly increasing in the Philippines over the last few years, I do feel that the rental returns here are just so much better than other countries, especially if you're running an Airbnb. Now, if you're looking to invest in the Philippines, I do have another video about how foreigners can kind of own land here. I'll put that up here, or maybe up here. Watch out for next week. We're going to turn our Bahay Kubo into a completely off-grid tiny home. Look, if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to keep up to date with what's happening in Corellia Homestead. I'm a grounded nomad. April's behind the camera. Until next time, take care.